we're taking this class online. We get the privileges of not only you, but me also working from home, and don't have to travel, but there's nothing like an offline class where we get to interact. So I would like to begin today's class number 5, with a review, a very broad review, which Kavita has helped me start the conversation by a very broad review of your first assignment. Okay, now these were what you were assigned. What did you have as material, or what did you have as implements or ingredients for your presentation? Ingredients that you had for your presentation was a learning of 4 classes. You had some 20 odd terminologies. Name a few terminologies. There were 4 C's, 4 P's, SWOT, BRIO. These were the terminologies that you had. And I wanted you to use these terminologies and come out with a presentation. I must begin by saying all of you made some very nice presentation. Some things that were missing was that, and it happens, and again, I say it with a disclaimer and with the conditions attached, is that for somebody like you, you've done a good job. And as we mature, and it's understandable too, that you are focusing on the assignment and not necessarily focusing on the company. So I would have seen, what I would have preferred to see was some kind of a storytelling. What I keep on saying that, and some of you get the message, some of you don't get the message. The idea is, how do you tell a story? So you tell a story, there must be a purpose, there must be a cause. I don't know if you remember, Balchandar, you can get off the video. Yeah, I don't know how many of you remember. If you recall a slide in which I said, who likes what? Do you like vitamins or do you like painkillers? Of course, the answer to that is painkillers are more cared for because they solve a pain. They kill the pain. Whereas vitamins are good, but between your parents or you as a parent advising your kids, which one is consumed more? Only when all of you must mute yourself so that we can have a good class. So this said, I would have preferred some kind of a change in your outlook. These were the 6 things. Now I'm going to give you 2 iconic presentations, truly iconic, because they are all over the web. They are the most sought out presentations. One is from Airbnb and the other is from Uber. And who doesn't know these companies? So let me see if I can open them for you. And if I can open them and give you an idea, on how this thing works. Okay. Which one shall we begin with? We'll begin with Airbnb. Okay. Airbnb, cancel, stop share screen. Yes. You can see the screen, right? Yes.
Yes,
Yes, Professor.
Okay, good. So let's look at Airbnb. Of course, it's available for you from slide bean. You can download this. This is what the first slide is. It's saying, you know, Airbnb, it's a well-known product. So post-mortem is perfect science. So you look at what they are pitching. Booking rooms with locals rather than. Look at the first statement that they're making. They are coming up with a problem. There is existing problem that we face. What is the problem? We find that price is an important concern for people who are traveling online. hotels leave you disconnected with the city and its culture. If I stay in a hotel, and most of us have done that, when we stay in a five-star hotel or a top-end hotel, it's so uncultured in the sense that there is so uniformity in its approach. There is nothing which is absorbed from the culture of the place. If I go to Turkey, if I go to any other part of the world and stay in a Hyatt, it all looks the same. It's the same breakfast, it's the same set of greeting. And so you are not connected with the city and the culture. But let's say you stay up in an Airbnb. Your guests are going to be so much from the local place that you start looking at it. So you see three problems that they identified. They identified price. They found that hotels are so boring. Second is there is no way to stay in a room or just one bed or something like that. So they come up with a problem and they come up with a solution. They have used all our learnings of 4Ps and SWOT and here I go, but they haven't necessarily used that language. So the solution, they say, is save money while traveling, and for the host, make money while hosting, and then you share a culture. Then they say, how do I get Puneet? Please mute yourself. Okay, I'm going to give you all 1 minute to a solid 1 minute to make sure that you're muted. I don't think it'll be correct for us to assume that you don't understand Zoom etiquettes, because we're almost in the second year of virtually living with Zoom. So don't give me an excuse that, sorry, I'm not muted. So that was the pain, that was the solution. And then what's the size of the market? They say that this is the size of the market. And then what happens next? Brief running. They say this is the market size and here comes my product. What is my product? You can search by the city. You can find out review of your listings. I'm not going to go by too much of detail. This is just an idea. And then you go ahead and book it. What is our business model? How do we make ourselves profitable? We take 10% commission on each of the transactions. We believe that there is so much of business. We believe that people will stay for 2 nights or 3 nights. So we will make $25 as an average fee. And this is what the revenue we expect to project. How do we adopt to the market? Second is, where is our competition? Then they put up a matrix. They're saying, where am I standing and why am I so superior to everybody else? What is the advantage that I have over the market? I'm the first guy to come up with this brilliant plan called Airbnb. It's so easy to use. So similarly, for somebody who's working on Skylark or somebody who's working on Satshore, you could have come up with saying, we're the first to the market. We are the ones who know the business. It's so easy to use. Mother Co says that it's so easy to order a set of diapers for your kids or something like that. Then we have, who are we? This is our team. This is what are the people in this organization. This is what the press thinks of us. And what do we need from you? We need about $2 million, or I don't know how much is that. We are looking for about 500,000 US dollars. And this is how we intend to make the money. This was one such presentation. I'm going to go back and give you one more such presentation and give you an idea of, yes. So let me go back to see where this is. Screen share, Uber. Who doesn't know Uber? Everybody knows Uber, right? So Uber, they call themselves the next generation car service. You see, they also begin with a problem. What is the problem? Most of us are using inferior technology. How do we call for a cab? We wave our hand and call for a cab. There is no GPS coordination between the client and the driver. Then what is the other problem? Getting a license to run a taxi for the taxi driver is a big problem, right? So, and those are those license badges they believe is so expensive. And there is no incentive for good service. However nice the auto guy is, we might thank him for being very nice, but it doesn't incentivize as money. So good auto drivers, friendly taxi drivers don't get appreciated monetarily. That was the problem. Then comes the solution. Okay. And of course, you know what the solution is all about. This is how it works. These are the key differentiators. What is this? This is VRIO. They're saying, why are we different from somebody else? So you see who they are presenting to. They are presenting it to a team of investors. I know you are in stage 1 of your learning, but I'm just giving you just a thought on how it is. Our principles of operation. This is again our product. Look at it. Everybody comes out with a product definition. And these are some of the use cases. I'm going to share this on the LMS so you also can get to see it. So these are the user benefits. This is again, you see, they talked about the product, they talk about the P, and then they talk about the C, the consumer. What does a consumer benefit from? And then they say, yeah, okay. And then they say this is the initial service area. This is what the technology is. And this is what the market size is. Finally, they also are asking for money. They are also asking for money. They're asking for money in 3 situations. They're saying that we may become a market leader and bring $1 billion revenue. We may not be a market leader. We might just be in 5 cities and maybe do about $30 million a year. Or worst case, we might only be in San Francisco and do only with 10 cars and 100 clients. You know where they landed up. They not only became a market leader in the US, they became a worldwide company. Okay. So what are they looking for? They're looking for some money or something like that. So these are the 2 slides that I wanted to share with you all to give you a perspective as to how you can look at it. Okay. So that's all I wanted to say about the assignment. I'll open up for questions on the assignment for another couple of minutes while I pick up my slide of interest. Do you guys have any questions on this? No? Good. Yeah, so where's my slide?
Sir, any glimpse on assignment 2 you want to give? Started now.
What do you want? We will take it up. We'll take it up at the end of the class.
Okay. Okay.
Just a few minutes before the class begins, we'll take that. Okay, surely. I just want to make sure that I also have my. Okay, there we go. So back to meeting. So can you see this slide? I assume you are able to see this slide, right?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Professor.
Right, Wazim? Yeah. Okay, good. So what are we discussing? You know, we briefly talked about the forecasting of business. That is like we talked about things like market share, We talked about a participant request for live transcription. Do you want this live transcription? Yes, no,
Yes.
yes.
Not really.
Okay, we'll keep it on. It becomes a pain. One of you can let me know. Okay. Okay, enable. Okay, good. Live transcription has been enabled. Okay, good. Let's see how it works. So what are we doing in today's class is that we moved away from B to C. We talked a little bit about B to B, and most of your assignment is all about B to B and how the scenario works in a buying center where there are 7 different characters or 5 different characters. How do you look at it? How do you manage them? And how do you in a real life situation? There were 2 real life situations that was given. One of them was called Keysight Technologies, and the other one I called it heated exchange, which is for an automotive market. So how do you enter into such scenarios? So we'll talk about it. But going back, what is my job as a marketing head, or what is my job as a CEO, or what's my job as a senior management in the company, is I have to see how am I doing? How is my company doing? How do I move forward within the market, within the sector, and within my own organization? So one term was market share. The other terminology that we used was relative market share, meaning compared to somebody else, how good is my market share doing? That's a very, very important term. That's exactly how your performance is concerned. And the second important term is market growth. How is the market growing? How is the market for, let's say, Android phones going? Oh yes, market for Android phones seems to have tapered down because everybody already has a phone. So the market is not really growing very, very fast. But in terms of relative market growth, meaning that in a market which is not growing very fast, how am I doing? Am I Samsung who's doing very well, or am I Xiaomi who's not doing all that well, or whatever your side of the argument is? So market share, relative market share, market growth, and relative market growth were some of the terms that we discussed. But how do you use all of these important learnings and put them into use? And why do you at all have to put them into use? Example is that I have 10 different products in my company, and each of these 10 different products have been painfully selected over the last 10 years. And I introduced them. I introduced Coke. I introduced Diet Coke. I don't know whether it's, what is that, Gatorade is also from the same company, but let's assume so. So we introduced sugar water. Then we said sugar-free water. Then we said we'll introduce healthy water like Gatorade or some energy drink. Then I started introducing plain water, Kinley. So all of them did not get introduced on the same year. Each of them have a different reason why I introduced. I introduced Coke or a fabulous drink because that seems to have woken up a great market for me. But when my market started dipping because people were a little more concerned about their health, and they felt that there were 15 teaspoons of, yeah, somebody raising your hand. Yeah, go ahead. Oh my God. Yeah. You raised your hand. Okay, never mind. Senzo raised hand. So what do I do?
Sorry, sir.
Yeah, okay, no problem, no problem. So I was saying that, so I as Coke introduced Coke, I had a wonderful drive. I was probably making a lot of money, but all of a sudden, not many people were taking Coke because they were worried it was too sugary. That's when one had to introduce Diet Coke. So Diet Coke created a new market for me. And as Diet Coke came up, there was also another sect of maybe millenniums, X, Y, millennium Z, or you call them whatever names you want to call them. If you don't mind, I find this enabling very, very, very irritating for me. Can we stop that? How do I stop this? Live transcript, please. I will have to disable. Okay. Yeah, so then I introduced a third product, which was energy drinks for the youngsters. The fourth thing that I or Coca-Cola introduced was just plain water. So each of them have come up in different lifetimes of the company. And each of them have been a star. Each of them have been doing well. And so what we are going to do in the next half an hour or 45 minutes is to classify our various products within our own company. Stars. These boxes are question marks, cash cows, and dogs. We briefly discussed that in our previous class, but I'm just doing a quick run through. Stars are those which have relative market share as very, very high, which means to say, compared to the competition, I am having super market share. That's point number one. That's not enough. The second is not only am I good in the market share, the market itself is growing very fast. Lots and lots of people are buying such products. Lots of people are converting themselves. Lots of people are converting themselves from plain television to OTT, or what is called linear television to on-demand television. So in that situation, there is definitely, I am doing well. That's the star of the market. That is what is star. The next is cash cow. What is cash cow? I have a huge relative market share. My market share is very good. I'm doing very well in this market, but the market is not really growing. Where is the market going? Good example is Google search engines. If you go and look at search engine, by default, a search engine has to be a Google. But is the market growing? The market is not really growing. As a matter of fact, when I want to buy myself a new pair of jeans, would I go and type on the Google search, where can I get best pair of jeans? No, I'm going to go directly into Amazon or Myntra or Agio or half a dozen such wonderful websites, and I'll start searching for it. If I want to buy myself the most fabulous phone, I wouldn't search on it on Google. Mute. So I would not go and search on. I'm not going to take the class on if everybody is not muted. I know who is that. Please identify yourself and mute.
Simran, can you please mute?
Okay, thank you. Okay, good. I virtually lost track of what I was saying. Okay, so the point is that On a search engine, I have a dominant market share, but the market itself is not growing. So I'm making a lot of money. I'm definitely enjoying. What is the weather? What is the weather in New York today? Or what is the time zone in Turkey? These things I don't search over Myntra, I don't search over, I go back to Google search engines. So there definitely is a market where I am there, but that market is possibly not growing. And this is what is cash cow. I make a lot of money out of it because nobody wants to know. I don't think anybody wants to come up with a new search engine or a new thing similar to Google or things like that. So that's one thing. Then we go back to question marks. What are question marks? I have a product. I have a product which has today a relatively low market share. What does that mean? That I come up with a product. Let me look at that product. And I think I exactly know where I'm thinking about. Amazon Pay. Amazon Pay. Amazon Pay is Amazon Pay is something that got introduced maybe a couple of months back. I mean, let's assume so. Let's assume so that Amazon Pay got introduced a couple of months back. Now, am I having a very large market share? No. As a matter of fact, there was data that came out 2 days back which said that Phone Pay is 4 times of Google Pay, and Paytm is probably just a fraction of Phone Pay. And then there are so many other players. But Amazon has come up. How is the market growing? The market is growing rapidly. Personally, I want to make every transaction an UPI transaction because, sometimes I don't get back cash and then whatever is the other reasoning. But Amazon has a low market share. What should they do? Should they hold on to it or should they scrap it? They don't know. Amazon comes with lots of advantages. If Amazon says that I'm going to give you a 5% discount or a 2% discount on the product that you buy, if you make a payment through Amazon Pay, then it is possible for me to pull out a large section of other competitive users to my side. Or it may be that I might just die off. There's a question mark. Should I pay attention? Should I not pay attention? That is what is the idea of having a question mark. The company is not very sure and certain what to do with it. Then comes the idea of what is called dogs. Dogs are those products which at one time were doing very well. They were possibly stars. They were possibly cash cows. And right now, the market is also not growing. There's nothing really in that market for us to be excited about. And even now, I have virtually lost out and I have a very low market share. The reason is most of my customers have either moved away from that product to another product, or there really isn't much of a market. There are lots of such products. I can't think of any one of them immediately, but I'm sure as I keep talking to you.
Professor,
yes.
In that case, Paytm was initially when it was introduced, they were like stars. They gave huge discounts whenever we purchase, and later it got down because after that we had other UPI transactions started. So I would see that as an example in place of
For
dogs.
a dog. Right. I mean, actually, that's an interesting thing. I'll tell you, I'll use Paytm, exactly the same model. But if you and I have been watching Paytm very much, you will notice that at one time, Paytm came up with what is called the Paytm Mall. The idea behind the Paytm Mall is that why should you use my UPI to buy somebody else's product? Let me become the Amazon for you. Let me become Flipkart for you, and let me grow that. So they have a Paytm Mall, but right now they don't know what to do with it. Paytm Mall is more or less dead. But if I drop it, I'll have to blacken my face. So you're perfectly right. There are lots of such products which exist, which are called the dogs.
Sir,
So
what about this one, sir? Akash, which is combined with Byju's now, can it be considered as in this column?
no. Akash, yeah, okay.
Because they are not surviving in the real market, so they are going to shake hands with others so that they can survive in some sort.
Wasim, you're being very nice to Mr. Akash. Do you know him? Do you
No,
know?
I don't know. Just I'm taking the example of this.
What happened was Akash is a 40-year-old
Yeah.
company. Unfortunately, they are one of the ones most hit by the pandemic. They're the ones who are the most hit by the pandemic. You cannot have students come to your classroom. You are not, so what do? You cannot overnight come up with what is
New
called
technology or something.
e-learning model.
E-learning, yeah, new technology.
So what do? And look at what Byju's problem is. Byju is having Shah Rukh Khan seriously advertised for his products, and for whom? For kids and school going. But eventually, everybody wants to widen the segment. Everybody wants to go to a larger segment. So they also want to address engineering aspirants, medical aspirants, but they are branded. The moment you say Baiju, I can think of that Disney toy or some child playing with it. So how do I get that branding out? And we'll talk about branding probably in the next class. So in a case of Baiju, it's not Baiju turning out to be a dog. It's not. I'm sorry. In the case of Akash, it's not Akash turning out to be a dog. It's just that Akash could not survive because they were no longer able to get people to use their product. And this was a good shake hand or a partnership, which was a win-win for both of them. Just like how Flipkart, if you remember, was having a major headache with Amazon. Amazon was virtually eating into Flipkart's market. Amazon was giving Amazon Prime. Amazon was giving so many other solutions. And Flipkart didn't have an alternate thing. And so they were wondering, how are we going to survive? That's one part of the story in India. Go back to the US, Walmart is having a problem. What is the problem with Walmart? Walmart is only I'm so confusing for me, offline and online. So Walmart is an offline, or will not use the word offline. Walmart is a brick and mortar company. They always have physical stores. But what is happening to them? Amazon is virtually eating them out left, right, and center everywhere. So for Walmart, they had to create an online presence. And of course, they can do it in the US, but they can also attack other markets. What are the other markets that they can enter? There is no other market than India, which is that huge. Only exception is China. But do you think China will allow? There's so much of regulatory problems that they'll ensure that the Chinese companies succeed. So Walmart needed somebody very badly. Flipkart needed somebody very badly. And they both joined hands. It was each saving the other. That is what is called, you will start learning in term 2 or 3, which is called strategic alliance. If we don't join hands together, both of us will fail. So that is what happened in the case of Akash and Baiju, and also in the case of Flipkart and Walmart. Just one additional line on Flipkart versus Walmart. At that time, phone pay was a very, very small constituent of the Flipkart business. And today, it is phone pay which is making Walmart excited and not necessarily Flipkart. So now, phone pay, which was just a small, it was a question mark. Please understand. Phone pay was a question mark. They were also surviving. And if you remember, they had a big problem when Yes Bank closed up. None of the transactions could go through, if you recall. So that's a brilliant example of a question mark. When Walmart took over Flipkart, they took over because Flipkart had Myntra and Flipkart had a great competition to Amazon. They also had phone pay, but this small question mark truly became a star. So this, I hope, gives you, Wazim and others, a comparison statement, right? So this is what is all about. These are some slides for you to read, and each of them give you a more detailed explanation. And there we go.
So, Professor, good morning. Swaroop here. I have just one question. If let's say some startup, right? So where they have very less market share currently, but they are right in the the growth path. So for them to become a star, so you are suggesting they have to be in the question mark to start with?
No, yeah. Any product that you begin with, okay. I'll give you an example of a company. How many of you know a company called Zogo? Vogo, sorry. Vogo is something like Bounce. I don't know if you know.
Rented bike.
Professor. Rented.
So I have a friend. Vogo, right? Or what is it?
Yes,
Vogo.
Vogo. So I have a friend who is the I think it is the chief financial officer in a investment firm. So he came and told me that stop using Bounce, start using Vogo, because this is where we are investing. So why did somebody invest in Vogo? Somebody invested in Vogo because they felt that there was enough market potential. The market growth rate was very high. Lots of people were willing to use it. Even I was using Bounce. It's very easy for me to go take one section of my travel by metro, and the other section I take a Bounce, and then I enjoy the idea. So I started growing out there. So now somebody investing in Vogo believes two reasons. The market is growing well, but to begin with, this guy has a very small market share. Yes, maybe if we do the right things, we might compete with Vogo, with Bounce, and I can do it. So my answer to your question is, most of us begin with a question mark. Why would you want to? Why does anybody want to enter the EV market, electric vehicle for the two-wheeler market? Why? Because market is growing fast. There's no doubt about it, right? If I come up with my own Ramesh electric scooters, why would I come up with such a product? Because the market is growing fast. But over the next 6 months, my relative market share is low. Why? There's something wrong with me. Maybe my product is not doing well. Maybe I'm not addressing the right segment. Maybe my pricing is wrong. There is something wrong in my product, which is not making me become a star. Everybody else is a star because the market is growing well. Ether is doing very well. And why am I as Ola struggling? So now I need to ask myself, should I continue my business or should I not continue my business? Definitely, it's not a dog. It's not a technology which is obsolete. It's a technology. There's something wrong with me. Maybe my segmentation is wrong. Maybe my product description is wrong. Maybe my brand positioning is wrong. If I set all of these, it is possible for me to go and attack Ather, which right now, despite all the noise that Ola seems to be doing on the two-wheeler, is continuing to enjoy some market presence. So that is what I thought would be an answer to your question. Make sense?
Yeah, yes. Thank you.
Okay. Good. So this is all what it is about. But then there is going to be somebody like Wasim or somebody who's going to go and say, sir, why are you giving so much of importance to Boston Consulting? What do you think they are the only guys who can do it? Why should we always look at Boston Consulting? Is there some alternates to Boston Consulting available? So then I will tell you that there are so many options which are available. One of them that we will look at is called the GE 9-cell matrix. So when Boston came up with something, Boston Consulting came up with it, obviously the competing industry, which is McKinsey, came up with their own 9-cell matrix, the same concept, but in a slightly reoriented manner. What they came up with is called the 9 cells. These 9 cells have 3 green cells, 3 yellow cells, and of course, 3 pink cells. Is it pink or red? Depends on, they say men are more colorblind than women. So we'll not in this case. 3 red cells. Now, before I go into what these 3 cells could define, based on your understanding of the BCG matrix, what are green cells? Please give me an example. What are green cells?
Star.
Green cells are stars. Okay. And what are red cells?
Dogs.
Dogs.
Dog.
And dogs.
Question.
And what are the yellow cells?
Cash cows.
Question.
Question mark.
Perfect. So
Cash
that's
cow and
one way to
question mark
look at it. Yeah, perfectly fine. Very well said. I think there was one thing called, yeah. So what they said is that one way to look at it, I want to see which will be the best way to explain to you, this way or the other way. I think I'll pick this first. So just like how they categorized, how did Boston Consulting categorize? They said market share, relative market share, market growth, relative market growth, right? But now they said, these guys said, there are 4 other ways we can look at it. Build. That means, do you build this product further? Hold. You decide what to do with it later on. Harvest. Get maximum benefit out of it right away. Divest is to do not invest. So build is like a star. Build more on it. Get more focus on it. Put your attention on it. Hold means right now it's doing well. And I'm sure all of us have the same thing if anybody is in trading. So what do they say? Sir, I think this share is doing very well. I think let's buy another 100 more shares because it's potentially very strong. It can go up and become a great Nifty 50 or BSC 50. So let's buy more and more, sir. But I keep telling him, no, the share is going up in price. Doesn't matter, sir. Buy, because it's very, very potential, great company. So buy it, buy Infosys. So keep on buying. So that is saying build on it, invest more. The other is hold on to it. What does it mean? So we are not sure what is happening to ITC shares. If some of you are on the trading, you will understand why ITC. Should we hold on to it or not? So they said, hold on to it. Maybe it will start doing well. Harvest means that this is the best you can accept today. Then it won't go further. You're right now sitting on some profit, make some money and get out. Divest, sir, when you bought Paytm, and unfortunately I belong to that category of people who bought Paytm at 2,150 rupees or something like that, what was the listed price? And the market opened with 30% down, which means that 30% of 2,000 is about 600. So it became 1,500. And now the market has further gone down. It's about 1,200. And I paid 2,100. And my broker is saying, sir, get rid of it, sir. Sir, get rid of it. So I am saying, no, I'm going to hold. I like Vijay Sharma. He's a good guy. I'm going to hold on to it. So these are the 4 ways that one would look at it from a stock market. And these are also the way one could look at it from the G9 cell matrix as to what do you do with your products? What do you do with your products? How do you classify them? The business unit strength is very, very high. You just see, it's the same slide. It's the same story, but it's a different language. They said market growth rate, and they called it industry attractiveness. They said relative market share, and they say business unit strength. So what do they say? If the market attractiveness is very high, if your business strength is very good, grow, invest more money, invest more people, put more resources, keep them going. They don't want to come up with the idea of a cash cow. They say, where should you invest? Where should you not invest? The market is not growing that well. My position is kind of a very mid-level. What should I do with it? Hold on to it. You don't know what's going to happen. Hold on to it. The market is pretty low. My position is very thin. Harvest, get rid of it. Get rid of it. So these are the other 3, the other alternate to CG or Boston Consulting. And you could use any of these for your definitions. There are more slides on it for you to read. My question to you in terms of assignment 2 is, if you look at the part B, I am asking you to use your intelligence using 2 tools, either the G matrix or the Boston matrix, and tell us, where do you see the world going 10 years from now? From 10 years from now, should I invest in a pharma? Should I invest in airline? Should I invest in some other technologies? Or which technologies will do well? Which technologies will not do well? No answer is wrong. No answer is also right, because we don't know. You might say that let's invest in airline, and airline industry may be replaced by Elon Musk coming up with some great idea to have rockets going from city A to city B. But what I am looking at is, what is it that you see the future, and how do you justify the future by pragmatic thinking? Does it make sense, my conversation with you? So that you can attempt.
Yes, Professor.
Yes, Professor.
Yes, sir.
Good. So this is done. What I am going to do now is I'm beginning to feel a little hungry, of course. But let me just start off the new share. And we are going to talk about pricing. What have we done till now? We talked about all kinds of things. And for the rest of your term or rest of your learning, there is not much of focus on pricing. So I am going to give you an idea on how to look at pricing. Generally, all of us think, and even in your own assignments, you have given a lot of importance to pricing. Most of us believe that if we reduce the price, the market will follow us. That's generally not true. Pricing is just one of the 4 P's. There is no need to give it a crown. There is no need for you to give it extra special status. What we'll do in the next 10 minutes is to look at pricing using different terminologies and try to convince you that there are many things that pricing can do for you. And it's possible for you to price your product higher and still be in demand in a market which is price conscious. Okay. At 10:23, let's take a brief break for about 10 minutes. Is that good enough? Recording. We've been talking about 4 P's and a lot of conversation was spent on product and why a product can also be classified with core expectation of the product, augmentation expectation of the product, what makes a certain feature in a product delight the customer and things like that. Okay. And then we also did a bit of a discussion on promotion. We'll also spend some time on promotion in our subsequent class where we will talk about branding and the role of branding and things like that. Distribution of or place, as it's called, is something that is becoming very important nowadays. We talk about supply chain management. How do you supply a particular product? How is it that you order a LG air conditioner and it arrives the next day? What kind of logistics are there to support such a thing? LG may be manufacturing the air conditioner possibly in Pondicherry or possibly in Gujarat, but what kind of a support mechanism is there which ensures that arrives within 24 hours, even shorter than the time it takes for a transport to arrive from Gujarat to here? How is that being delivered? And why there are warehouses distributed across national highways and the role that they play? You have supply chain as a full branch of management of the thing. But pricing, unfortunately, despite the fact that it's an important parameter, there's not much of a discussion about it. So I'm going to give you one input or one view of pricing. This view of pricing is from a very popular business school, international business school. And I must give them due credits for the source that I have taken it from. So with this background, let's get into pricing. When you start thinking about pricing is such a very, very crucial thing. When you're manufacturing a car, how do you price that? What are the various elements that have gone in the car manufacturing? There's so much of R&D that's gone in there. There's so much of initial investment in the entire manufacturing belt, or what do you call the whole line of manufacturing. There's so much of investment in a die. There's so much of investment in the distribution network, all to sell one Alto or all to sell one Toyota car or whatever it is. So how do you distribute those elements? I spend $1 million on $1 billion possibly in coming out with the next car. Do I make up for that money within my first 100 cars sold? Or do I make up that money over the next $1 million cars sold? That's a question for you to ask, because there is that $1 billion that I have invested in making this car, setting up a huge manufacturing plant. And how do I make my money out of it? That's one question that comes about it. Then again, then again, the other thing is, am I the one who is deciding the price? Is everything, we discussed this. Am I the guy as the owner of the company or the chief finance officer of the company? Am I the one who is going to decide the price? Or is my customer going to decide the price for me? I'll tell you that I have the most finest product on the face of the earth. And I took a lot of efforts to build it. So give me X amount of money. Yes, we do agree you spend a lot of time, you have great brilliance, but what if that price point doesn't suit the customer? Why will they buy it? So that's one other element of it. So I'm not deciding the price, I am partly deciding the price. One other person who's deciding the price is the customer. And is that all? There's a third guy who's deciding the price. That's the competitor. The competitor comes in and says, oh, if this is the price, what X is going to give you, my price is going to be 10% lower than X. Now that 10% is enough for me to be shaken out of the industry. That 10% is enough for me to be thrown out of the market. We discussed in one of our first classes that every month I would get a warning from Airtel saying that you have used 50% of your data capacity. So who decided the pricing of the data? Airtel decided the pricing of the data. And now I keep haggling with them. They wouldn't care a damn. And then comes a competitor and says, unlimited data. So now who is deciding the pricing of the data? It's the competitor who's deciding. So that's another thing. Finally, all that is good. All that is great. I have some great Chinaware in front of on my table. But so what if it's great Chinaware? I don't need that right now. So again, does a customer value it? Who is the customer? There are some people prefer that, Chinaware or expensive ceramic crockery. Some people care for such expensive luxury items. Some people don't care for it. So that is one other way of looking at it, pricing. One other interesting thing, and from where I come from, is pricing of satellite services. I'll give you a background of what are satellite services. Planning a satellite takes about a year. To plan, what do I do with the satellite? What services do I deliver? Who is going to be my market? Is it going to be internet provider? Is it going to be broadcaster? Is it going to be IoT services? Which market am I going to go? Am I going to be on an emerging market or am I going to be in a developed market? That is one thing. So I take 1 year to plan the satellite. I take another year to manufacture the satellite and put it on air or put it up in the sky. And then I have a downward clock ticking. From the time the satellite is on the sky, every moment its time is reducing. A typical satellite could have 10, 12 years of life. So I have only 12 years to make up for the money. What is the money? The money that I spent on designing it, the money that I spent on manufacturing it, the money that I spent on launching it, and make enough money for me to have money left to replace the satellite. So now, every minute that my satellite gets unused, I am losing money. So does that mean that I should give the services of the satellite at the lowest possible price just because there is a customer? Or should I be smart enough to wait for a price that I get? Because once you give a house for rent, it's a very interesting thing. You have a house for rent and you are expecting 15,000. And then a customer or a tenant comes and says, I'll give you 12,000. What do? Do you give it for rent? Because if you don't give it for rent this month in Jan, and you get a tenant in February, you have lost 15,000 or maybe 12,000. So that 12,000 is 1,000 rupee loss per month. But is that the way to look at it? The other way to look at it, if I give him at 12,000 and at the end of 1 year, that's going to be 10% increase, which is 1,200 rupees increase. Whereas if I had given it at 15,000, it's 1,500. So very, very complicated. Pricing is very complicated. What is good or not? Another thing is perishable items. The cost of pricing a fresh fish. A fish that comes out in the morning at 5 o'clock is real fresh fish. You are willing to give, maybe I can't think of a pricing for fish, maybe you're willing to give 100 rupees. But every minute the fish is staying on the shelf, the cost of the fish is reducing. So a 3-hour-old fish may not give you 100 rupees, may only give you 70 rupees. So how do you play around with it? Very, very complex on the pricing. Are you guys following me? Are you guys with me? Give me an S or a no, whatever.
Yes,
Yes, sir. Professor.
Good. So 3 things that matter. 3 things. Mute. 3. Okay, mute, gentlemen.
Divya.
Please. Okay. Good. No problem. So there are 3 things about pricing. One is economics. The other is customers. The third is competitors. It's like a triangle. It's like 2 friends going behind another friend, calling it Hindi movie triangles. Who's this?
Guys, please mute yourself.
Divya Jyoti, please mute.
Divya Jyoti. Okay, done. Good job. So it's like a Hindi movie triangle, the customer is there. You are trying to vie for that customer and the competitor is also trying to vie for the customer. So major battle of a Hindi movie triangle that is happening out there. So what is economics? What is economics? Economics is that part of the business that is under your control. Why is it that my product is 10 rupees, whereas the competitor's product is 8 rupees? There's something wrong with my product. Maybe I'm not getting the best price for my hardware. Maybe I'm not efficient enough in my manufacturing. Maybe I'm paying my employees too much. Maybe my cost of money, I'm sure, have you read, I think you have been taught cost of money in your finance classes, so you might have learned about it. So the cost of my money is I'm probably borrowing at a higher rate, or I am spending more money in distributing that product to reach out to the final. Economics involves you. Economics involves those parameters that you can actually control. The second part of it is economics. What is the cost? I'm just probably that's the pricing on the chart and calendar. What is my cost? How much margin am I making? Am I really there in the market, or should I get out of that market? So that is one thing that you need to look at. Is my play, is my control on the product, pricing of the product, based on how much I can control from my own side? This is more like the SWOT analysis. If there is a weakness, that's internal. right? I'm not getting the best sources. I'm not getting the best supplier. I'm not getting the most efficient machines. To a certain extent, you can do a bit of damage control there. It is possible for you to smart management, bring down. That is why you had the concept of just in time. If you look at the Japanese philosophy of manufacturing, is that the time between the product staying in the inventory should be as minimal as possible. So that is some amount of control that you can do. The second thing here is the customer. What is the customer thinking? It's great that you have a product, you have a brilliant product, but the customer is saying, what does it mean for me? Is it something that is of value to me? Should I be, what do I benefit from that product? What is it that I get out of it? Value could be a notional value. Value could be real, convertible to the moment I brought this product and added it to my office or added it to my manufacturing, I saved 10%. That could be actually definitive value that this product came. But the moment I put up a nice hoarding or a nice banner in front of my office, that also brings in value. That is the notional value. And people then start recognizing that, oh, there's a wonderful company here who has some great logo design. So that is what it is. So that is the customer has to see value in your product. The second is, what is the willingness to pay? How much am I willing to pay for that product? I know this is worth 50 rupees. But I'm not going to give 50 rupees for whatever reason. I'm only going to give you 30 rupees. At 30 rupees, is what I'm willing to pay. It may be worth 50. We'll look at it. We'll spend some time talking about it. Then, should I go and flirt with that person who is going to give me 30 rupees for my 50 rupee product? Or should I go and look for that customer who understands that 50 rupees is the worth of this product and is actually willing to pay 50? So, which means to say, is the customer segment the right segment? There are a lot of things we will also discuss. Some maybe we are going behind the wrong segment. Then finally, what goes in the mind of the customer before actually buying the product? We talked about it initially for some time, but we'll get more into it. So what is then comes competitor. As you look at it, there are three things: economics, customer, and competitor. Who is the competitor? The competitor is the next best alternative. The next best alternative. Am I the next best alternative, or is the competitor the next best alternative? I prefer to travel by Uber, but if I get an Ola, I don't mind. Something like that. So I am considered a next best alternative. I am willing to give 125 rupees for a ride in Uber, but I don't think an Ola ride is worth 120 rupees or something like that, some alternative. And again, why is the competitor pricing it at 125? And what are the market share of it? It's all about market share. Would Apple be a different company today if they were only worried about market share? Apple has best to best 7-8% of market share in each of their products that they sell. Maybe a little bit less also. So if they were to be, if Tim Cook were to be only worried about market share and say that we should have a 70% market share, you can imagine what would be the outlook of that company. Are they running behind market share, or are they running behind profitability of their product when they're designing the pricing of the product? Then there is market dynamics. Market dynamics is constantly changing. Today, the demand for certain item keeps falling. Over the last 10 days, over the last 15 days, the use of Dunzo and Swiggy had come to a low because we could go and pick up our groceries. We could go and have our food in the restaurant, and boom, the market dynamics has changed now. Now Dunzo and Swiggy and all are back into business because of the fact that there are restrictions. So these are the things that we will spend some time thinking about it and how to bring it to it. So redefining the whole gamut of things, each of them overlap each other. Economics overlaps customer, customer overlaps competition, and competition overlaps my own product, which is economics. So what happens between me as a company and almost sounding like Nityananda, okay, with so much of me being emphasized here. Okay, so what happens between a company and the customer is price elasticity. How much tolerance will the customer give for my price, and how much can I reduce and still be profitable? That's what is the economics and the customer relationship, price elasticity. The second is customer and competition. What is price discrimination? Why did I buy the competitor's product? Despite the fact that the competitor's product was high, or why did I buy the competitor's product only because his product was cheaper, despite the fact that my product was better? All that happens. And then there is this famous game theory, which is happening between companies and competition. All the time they are fighting with each other. They are trying to get the better of each other. So these are the three parameters of it. Are you guys with me on this? Am I making sense? Yes, no?
Yes,
Sir.
sir.
Okay, good. So before we get there, let's look at, this is some statements for you to talk about, but let's look at what happens in a consumer's mind. I'm using a B2C example because it's easier to explain, but we will obviously translate it to B2B on a later time on today. Now, there are 4 examples that I've picked up. It's a typical breakfast. It's a fine dine in Delhi, that's what it says. It's buying a washing machine, and it's buying a car. Now, let's say you're going to have breakfast. Let's pick up the name. Let's pick up somebody's name out here. Anupama or Archana, or there are lots of A's that I'm looking at, John for that matter. Let's say every day you guys are eating out for breakfast because you are in a PG, and so you don't cook your own meal. So every day you go out and eat. How complicated is your buying decision? Do you spend too much of time thinking about it? Do you spend too much of analysis on where should I eat my breakfast? Or would you just settle down to one word, which is convenience and proximity? What do you think is the answer? It's
Yeah, the nearest one we'll be choosing.
the nearest one, and
Quality, taste.
you have Parthiban has mentally made up his mind that I'm going to spend 75 rupees on my breakfast. So 70 up to 75 rupees or something like that, Parthiban wouldn't really bother what it is. So somebody comes up and tells him, hey, listen, man, I tell you a place which is great breakfast at 65 rupees. Brilliant breakfast. The only thing is you will have to drive, take your motorbike and go for about 15 minutes. I don't think Parthiban is going to change it. It's because you have a mental block on how much would it cost, And anything below that is not going to change your mind. And you're going to give convenience as the most important parameter when buying your breakfast. Correct? And so every day you come eat different kinds of things in the restaurant, and every day the guy comes and says 60 rupees, 65 rupees, 70 rupees, 75 rupees, you keep paying. One day he comes and says, sir, your bill is 100 rupees. That's when you wake up and say, hey, why is it 100? Something is wrong. So you wouldn't even have noticed that the seller had changed his prices till the mental threshold of yours, which was 75, was hit. So you were never bothered whether the price of the coffee became 11, from 11 to 12, or the dosa became from 40 to 42, as long as it was within your mental threshold. But the moment it crosses your mental threshold, now you start wondering, oh my God, I'm spending 80 rupees on my breakfast instead of 75. Maybe that idea is good that I should go somewhere far away. So agree with me on this thought. Then let's go to another thought. Let's say it's the same Parthiban or the same Vasim who decides to take his family out or his good friends out for a dinner. He just got a bonus. He's got some major increment, and so he wants to celebrate. So what does he do? He takes you to a place where, it's a fine dine restaurant. You want to experience the food. It's expensive. There's no doubt about it. It's not going to cost you 70 rupees per head. It's probably going to cost 500 rupees per head or something like that. And he goes out there and has a meal. Now, what happens? 9 out of 10, if you are visiting this fine dine restaurant for the first time, you're going to like it. But at the end of the day, when the check is about to come, when you look at the amount, you're going to be surprised. I said, my God, this thing costs 5,000 rupees for this food. The same thing, the same thing, I could have got it at 300 rupees near my house, and the quality is even better. So now, for some reason, while you are willing to pay more, there is a bit of a hesitancy for you when you look at the bill. Of course, you're not going to fight with the restaurant guy, because that's what you pay for fine dine. But are you likely to come back? Unlikely to come back, because, hey man, who is going to pay 5,000 or 7,000 rupees for a meal for 3 in a place like this? No way. Ek baar ho gaya, ho gaya. So that's one philosophy that happened. The third thing is, you're buying yourself a washing machine. Now, when you're buying yourself a washing machine, what parameters are going to be considered? Lots and lots and lots of technical parameters are going to be there. Oh, is it going to consume less power? Is it going to consume less water? Is it going to fit into my wherever I want to put up that washing machine is? The last thing that is going to be important is, how does it look? Because it's very unlikely that when I come and visit your home, that you're going to come and tell me, hey, Ramesh, I bought a washing machine, come have a look at it. Or I bought a new mattress, come and have a look at it. It's a private purchase, and the whole purchase is going to be private. You're not going to make yourself visible on your purchase. Whereas a fine dine of yours, you want to be known that you went there. You might click a few photographs, and if one of your friends sees you with your family dining in Taj West End, you're going to be happy. Hey, that guy saw me with my family. I feel good about it. But the same doesn't necessarily apply to a washing machine. It's a private purchase, and if there is a 10 rupee difference, not 10 rupee, of course, if it's a 1,000 rupee difference between vendor A and vendor B, you are willing to go to vendor B, even if that vendor is far away, because it means a lot in terms of the economics of it. That's the third element. The fourth element of pricing is the car that you're buying. So when you buy the car, it's a visible purchase. You don't have to tell anybody. The only reason why I bought my car recently was because I want to park the car outside my house, even though I have a garage, because I want my friends to know that I bought a car. That's the only reason why I bought the car. And when my friend comes and of course, he sees that I have been parking this car and polishing it 3 times a day. And then he'll come and ask me, hey, Ramesh, new car? And then what am I going to tell him? I'm going to tell him, yeah, man, I paid 25 lakhs for it. Nobody asked me how much did I pay for it. But I'm going to voluntarily come back and tell him that I paid 25 lakhs for it. So these are 4 consumer decision-making scenarios. And now let's look at how do we use this consumer making decisions to price around with our product as a restaurant, as a washing machine company, or as a car manufacturer. So here it is. I think that the orientation was a bit lost here. The car should have come up there for you to make sense, but don't bother. It's just the same thing out here. So the consumer decision, there are 2 metrics. One is the visibility angle and the other is the involvement angle. What does that mean? Is that there is going to be low visibility and low involvement when you're buying yourself a cup of coffee or buying yourself a breakfast. You are not too worried about how much is the price. The price is insensitive below a threshold, like I told you, up to 70 or 80 rupees or 90 thing. Price takes a back seat to convenience. That's why you will not go to a place farther away from your home for breakfast, because I know you can go out in our normal dressing, just go have a quick coffee before the class begins or something like that. So price threshold, price insensitivity, and price takes backseat to convenience. That's what happens when it comes to a cup of coffee. But when it comes to a fine dine restaurant, there is definitely price threshold. Beyond a point, I'm not going to do it. And like I said, John Harsha, who's out there with this video on. So when he goes to the restaurant and pays 5,000 rupees for the meal, he is going to say, I'm not coming back at 5,000 rupees because it's too very expensive. Then what do you think the restaurant guy is going to do? John, what do you think? What do you think the restaurant is going to do when you look at the bill? And the moment these restaurant guys, the waiters are very smart. They look at your face and they can make out that whether you're happy or unhappy with the bill. So what do they do when you look at a bill like 5,000 rupees and feel unhappy?
Yeah, probably the first thing as they would notice me being unhappy is they would offer an upfront discount cut out on the billing, or probably I would make another sense of making payment through a different platform which provides me an offer.
Assuming that you know no such platform. Assuming. Okay, so good, very good answer, But
I want to add something, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so they just want to clear the bill. If the person who is that waiter is too smart, he will just want to the customer need to clear the bill, and he assume like he will not come again second time or third time. He want that person to clear the bill for that moment. I need to go off.
Absolutely. Both of you are perfectly right. Both of you are perfectly right.
He will just
I'm
place
not
the
coming
bill
back
and-
again. Yes, somebody else.
He will just place the bill and wait for the payment. He knows that he is not going to come back, nor he is not going to give any tips.
But Venkatesh,
Yeah.
Wasim, and John, it's your duty as the advisors to that hotel to do something so that they come back.
Yeah.
So what is it that you should do? Here is what normally happens is they come back and say, sir, thank you very much, sir. I hope you enjoyed the meal. I said, oh my God, don't ask me about the meal. Yeah. But then they say, sir, by the way, can you fill up this form? On your wedding anniversary and on your birthday, if you come, we'll give you 20% off. Or, sir, you happen to be the lucky guy, we have a 20% off coupon. So next time when you come with your friends, we're going to give you 20% off. So now you see that they are doing something for you so that they know that you want a reduction in price so that you will come back again. So these are prices important, and for a repeat purchase, you want a deal. Am I right in this thought?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yeah. So while price has shaken you up and said, my God, but then the very fact that next time when I come, they're not going to be charge me 5,000. They're going to give me a 20% off, which means 4,000. Wow, that deal is very interesting. I'm definitely going to come back. So that is the second process which involves. One is price takes back seat to convenience. One is price is important and you want a deal for your next visit. The third is buying a mattress or a washing machine. Price totally impacts the consideration. Only you know how much is your budget for that washing machine or for the mattress, and you will look for a shop which gives you the same model 500 rupee less. So price impacts totally the entire consideration, and price is weighed over every other attribute. Oh, you know what? This has got eco washing. This has got health washing. None of these are required. Let's not have those options. Let's take a simple thing within my budget of 23,000 rupees. And I'm going to do extensive search for that mattress or washing machine, because that is what happens in this. Because the visibility is low and the involvement is high. You're going to spend all your time on trying to find the best thing, but you're not really bothered about the color of the mattress. You're not bothered about the brand of the mattress, because you're not going to go and tell anybody, today I slept on a curl on. I mean, that looks crazy thing to go ahead and announce in your office, right? So that's what happens. Finally, price on a car, price impacts the consideration. You will do an extensive price, and price will become the decision for you to buy the product. Between buying a LXI model at 15 lakhs and a VXI model, assuming that the VXI is a better model, at 17 lakhs, you are more tempted to buy a 17 lakh rupee car, because price is the factor which makes you buy the product. So you will not only buy the product, you'll also announce to the world that I paid X amount of money for the product. So these are the 4 decision-making processes which happens in a consumer, and then gives you an idea of how to price around with a particular product. Any questions on this, or we move forward? Fine. Okay. So next point that we are discussing is customers value the same service differently. What does that mean? A haircut is a haircut. If it's men, we just go to our nearest guy and get our hair cut. Whereas it's a women would like to go to YLG, and they value a haircut very differently. So it could be the same product, but each customer has a different value for that. So that's the second concept that I wanted to bring in. The third and most important concept, where we'll spend some time talking about it, is what is called, where is that product? What is called the willingness to pay. What is willingness to pay? Let's look at it in this chapter. Okay, what is willingness to pay? Let's say somebody wants to buy a laptop. Somebody wants to buy a laptop. What is, I think there's one particular thing missing, but probably I think I can make up for it. Okay, there's somebody wants to buy a laptop. Now, that person is walking into the showroom. Is he going to carry a banner saying that I am wanting to buy a laptop under 50,000 rupees? Is he going to come and make an announcement like that? No, he's not going to make an announcement like that. He's just going to look at it and say whether it is high or low, or whether he wants to buy it or not. So when he looks at a laptop, and in this case, maybe I should add those two sentences here. Okay. Okay, so let's leave it at that. Okay, so he comes and looks at a laptop, and then he says, wow, I like this laptop. This is very, very good, but the price is high. So how much is your budget? He says, no, I'm not going to tell you how much is my budget. Sorry, the price is high. Why would you want to tell him how much is your budget? So you just walk out of it. Now, the company which is manufacturing the laptop or a computer, the salesman goes back and tells his company, the people seem to like our laptop, but they believe our pricing is high. But I don't know how high is our pricing. So what do we do about it? So the manufacturer says, let's reduce the pricing of the laptop. So right now the laptop is priced at 60,000 rupees. They don't know how much is the willingness to pay of the buyer. So what do? They reduce the price to 40,000 rupees. So next time when the customer walks in to buy the laptop, they tell him that, sir, we just slashed our prices. We have the laptop now available for 40,000 rupees. And he says, wow, that's brilliant. That's 40,000 rupees. Give it to me. I'll buy it. Now, there's something that you need to note, is that the customer would have actually paid 49,999 rupees for the laptop, because the customer had a mental threshold of 50,000 rupees, and you will never come to know about it. Neither will you come to know it in a B2B market, neither will you come to know it in a B2C market as to how much do you think will help me close the deal. But it's our act of stretching ourselves and what happens next to decide how to go forward. So now you do not know what is the customer's mental block. The customer did not buy it at 60,000. The customer jumped and flashed his card at 40,000 and bought it. What would the seller do next? What, in your opinion, would the seller do next? If you guys are following me, give me an answer.
Yes.
Yeah. Give me, what would the seller do when he sold the 60,000 rupee computer at 40,000 rupees, and the customer delightfully bought it.
No, he will try to reduce the pricing in the subsequent sales as well.
He will, he will slightly increase it. That's what you're saying. Okay, but in this particular instance, what will he do?
Sir,
He may-
Yeah,
He will try to reduce the futures of
yeah, he
the
will
brand.
reduce the future gap between 50 to 40. Is that what you're saying? But that's okay.
he might adjust even limiting the service and the other offers even to the current customer, even though he reduced his price, but he may not give him other deals.
No. Think for a moment. Think for a moment.
Professor, the seller might have convinced him to get some more machineries, relative things to buy, like for refrigerator, geyser or something, battery like that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
kind
So,
of a future
Prashant,
investment,
yeah.
investment for that
Prashant,
seller.
I want you to play around with your answer, and I'll give you another 1 minute to give me.
Okay.
Yeah, to continue with Prashant's thing, he can give a offer like 1 year on-site warranty. I will give you at X price. So
Yes.
he can build the price in there. That may not fully adjust his selling price, but still he can make some money as a seller.
Perfect. Good. Prashant and Venkatesh done. So remember, the customer walked in with 50,000 rupees in his pocket. Now, when he spent 40,000 rupees, you are living behind 10,000 rupees in his pocket. And remember, the customer was willing to give you all the 15,000 rupees to you and walk away with the computer. Now, what you need to do, unfortunately, this is a kind of a dated slide. I know how the slide came up. MOTT. Okay, the customer has, you do not want to leave money on the table, meaning that you want to draw every ounce of that customer. And don't look at this customer from a B2B, from a B2C perspective alone. So you may also want to, when you want to go in for a B2B contract, when you want to go in for a B2B contract, and you believe that you oversold yourself, then when the deal is done, you might want to ask for many things like, sir, do you want on-site warranty, or do you want our SLA terms to be improved from 98.5 to 99.5? Because you now believe that you have oversold yourself, meaning that rather undersold yourself, meaning that you could still extract some money from the customer. So that is called money on the table. So now, as Venkatesh and Prashant said, they'll ask the customer, sir, do you want to have on-site warranty, or do you want to have 1 year extended warranty? Or do you want to buy a bag for your laptop? Or shall we add up MS Office into your services? So
Or they may offer some coupons also. So sometimes they'll offer coupons and they'll tell in next 1 year, if you buy with this coupons, you'll be getting 10% off in next product or something like that. And they will try to extract business from that customer.
No, hang on. You're getting confused. The coupon is when the customer is angry with the price.
Mm-hmm.
The coupon is when the customer is angry. The customer, if I pushed you to buy it at 51,000 rupees, and I'm very unhappy with that 51,000 rupees purchase that I was made to buy, then they are going to give you a coupon and say, sir, this 1,000 rupee coupon is for you to come and buy the next time. But now they're not going to give you coupon because you already have 10,000 rupees in your pocket. They want to get that 10,000 rupees out. So they'll give you, sir, do you want a scratch guard Do you want to have something else? Do you want to have an additional battery source or something like that? So this is what
Insurance.
is known as the willingness to pay. I hope you guys have been following on that term. Okay. Then you have what is called margins and markups. Everybody knows about it. We're going to not spend too much of time talking about it. Then we get into a slightly different conversation saying that if I price my product at $10, I can sell 100 of them. If I price my product at $5, I can sell 300 of them. And if I price my product at $2, I can sell 1,000 of them. So where do you think I should price my product? What do you think is the best pricing for me? $10, $5, or $2? What do you think is your answer?
$2 because I can sell more quantity.
$2 because I can sell more quantity. Anybody else wants to question that?
So it depends on the profit margin what we are getting on
It
the
depends on the profit margin of it. So this slide, what Balchandra is saying, it's kind of incomplete because you don't know what is the cost of the product. Now you look at this. If I sell at $2, my cost is actually fixed for all of them. My cost is $1. If I sell at $1, I mean, if cost is all the cost is fixed at $1. If I sell at $2 and I sell 1,000 of them, I will make $1,000. But if I sell it at $10, which is huge profitability, I still can sell only $100. I can make only $90. But the sweet spot, you know, you have a sweet spot when it comes to a cricket bat or on a tennis racket, you know, that's the one which is giving you the highest impact. It needn't necessarily be the center point on the racket or the bat, but it's slightly off center. So similarly, the sweet spot is when you sell it at $5 and you sell 300, you actually make $1,200. So now you see, just reduction of price and increase of volume is not the best business solution. And sometimes you must really want to keep your profitability up, and you would rather sell only $305 and not be interested in selling more than 300 at a lower price. So that is why you would see
Professor, excuse me. So for the first one, the price where it's set at $10,
yes,
shouldn't that be 900? I mean, the profit.
Yeah. 900, but 900, correct. Cannot be, yeah, 900. But still, you see, it is 900. Yeah, I know it can't be 90. Yeah, so 900, 1,200, and 1,000. So you still see that the sweet spot remains at $300. So there you see, there are those who want to make $900. There are those who actually want to make $1,200, and there are those who really interested in volume sale. So each of them have a price to quantity matrix that comes out. So this would be the sweetest spot for you to do your business. Then we are going to get into another point, which is called price discrimination. What is price? This is the same thing re-explained. You can look at what is price discrimination. Price discrimination is not to confuse it with something else, not to confuse it with pricing differentiation. It's called price discrimination. That means that if you were to buy a bottle of water in an airport, if you were to buy a bottle of water in an airport, it will cost you, let's say, 300 rupees. But the same bottle of water would cost you 20 rupees, or not 300, too much, maybe 100 rupees in the airport. But the same bottle of water will cost you 10 rupees in an outlet outside the airport in a grocery store. So how do you justify as a buyer paying 100 rupees for a bottle of water when the same is available for 20 rupees outside the airport? This is called price discrimination. You are willing to give a discriminatory price for a product because it gives you certain inherent advantages which otherwise would be converted into more expensive alternatives, meaning that you will have to go out of the checkout, check the security check, go outside and buy the product. It's very, very painful for you to do the thing. So the cost of that energy you are willing to give as a discriminatory price for paying a little bit more for the same service. This is something that you would have noticed even in the theaters. It's the same popcorn, but if you have a crying child sitting next to you and demanding the popcorn, the cost of going outside the movie theater during an interval and picking up the popcorn, I mean, they may not allow you inside, that's a different matter. But so price discrimination comes when the same brand is available at different prices at different places, and there is a justification to the fact that that price is paid for. Not only is 100 rupees a convenience factor for you, but you will also appreciate the fact that this guy had to pay higher rentals for a slot in the airport, had a greater transportation cost, and probably had to spend more money in keeping that bottle of water there. So this is the word called price discrimination. So you should be able to give, if you're asked in the exam what is price discrimination, you should be able to kind of define it. If you guys have been following me so far, let's continue with another conversation, which is called product range. Now, if you look at
Professor, can you repeat that discrimination thing?
Price discrimination. Okay. How do I give you? Just trying to give an idea for it before I. How often have you gone to the airport and forgotten to pick up some food for yourself or felt hungry?
Professor, just it's the same water bottle explanation we can give. Like if you buy a bottle of water.
Yeah, okay, Venkatesh, I want you to give an explanation. Go ahead. Try your.
So if you buy a bottle in airport, it will cost you say 50 to 100 rupees. Whereas the same bottle of water, maybe the brand price MRP will remain different in both the cases. In airport, you will have a MRP of 50.
1 minute, Venkatesh. The concept of MRP is very localized and Indian. So don't bring up the MRP concept.
Okay. So the same water bottle will cost you 50 rupees in an airport, whereas if you buy it in a place nearby your area, it will cost you less than 20 rupees. So this difference is called price discrimination.
No, yeah, very well. But what is the choice available to you, Venkatesh? Do you want to stay thirsty and not pay 50 rupees? Or are you justifying the 50 rupees so that your thirst is quenched? The cost of your thirst is 50 rupees. So price discrimination is justified only when you buy the product, despite the fact that there is a higher price associated with it.
Yes, yes.
Right. So I hope you guys have understood why price discrimination is very important. So what happens in a price discrimination is that you are addressing a very narrow segment of the society. or the narrow segment of the user base. Okay, so that is where you go ahead and make your money. I do not know how many of you, because you brought up the concept of MRP, and I want you to correct you on that. Not correct you, but probably add a line to it. Earlier, if you walked into a restaurant and ordered yourself bottled water, the MRP on the bottled water is 10 rupees, and ITC Gardenia would charge you, I know how many of you know that famous one omelette costing 700 rupees in a hotel. At some time there was a tweet to that regard. Or more importantly, ITC Gardenia charging you 120 rupees for a 10 rupee Bisleri water. That is what we all noticed. Then the government of India came up, said that MRP products cannot be charged beyond MRP. Yeah, Prashant, I'll just give me a second. I saw you. MRP products cannot be charged beyond MRP. So if you are selling Bisleri water at 10 rupees, it doesn't matter whether it is Udupi or Oberoi, you still have to pay 10 rupees. So what did Oberoi and ITC do to overcome this problem? Yeah, Prasant.
But you have put it the point actually. For same brand, you cannot charge if it is my place or if it is the airport, you cannot charge the same more than the price you are charging me in nearest my house or somewhere else. Am I correct, Professor?
No. Can you repeat what you said?
What I'm telling is the same brand, same quality with no value added. As you are telling that in airport it may charge more, whereas in nearby my local or area it will charge less.
Yes. And yes, near your house, the bottle is 10 rupees, but in the airport is 50 rupees. That's not the end of the story.
Yeah,
End of the story is when you justify, you as a consumer justify that 50 rupees and say, "Arey, isko 50 rupiya dena hai," even though it is 10 rupees, because I cannot be thirsty on a 3-hour flight. So 10 rupees for that. I cannot go out and do the recheck-in. So that's another 10 rupees. That makes it 10 plus 10, 30 rupees. And poor guy, he brought the bottle water for me from all the way there. So another 10 or 15 rupees. And hence, a bottle of water which otherwise costs 10 rupees, I am justifying myself that 50 rupees is worth it. So that is what, if you read my first chapter on pricing, we said the economic value, perceived value of a product. So here, the perceived value of a bottle of water, which costs 10 rupees, the perceived value of that bottle, there's an option for you. Prashanta, you don't have to take that bottle. You go to that water fountain and drink as much as you want. It is free. But is the water reliable? Is that water, do I drink that water or do I pay 50 rupees? So price discrimination is justified despite that. That's the point.
Yeah, I got the point, but what I'm telling is, my point is the same brand, same quality, without adding a value, you cannot sell the same product. If it is airport or nearby my house, you cannot sell more than what the price has been charging.
Yes.
There is other dimension also. Like if we take the same example, many would have experienced whoever has taken flights. So they say especially packed for Go Indigo. There the price will be say 50 rupees or 100 rupees. And MRP will also show 50 or 100 rupees. And we have to pay that. Though the same quality of water will be 20 rupees when we bought out.
Exactly.
The MRP itself, they define it there.
That is cheating the system, right? That is cheating the system.
No, it's not like that. If the print is 50 rupees, the net profit, whatever, that's the another story. What I'm telling
That's
you.
another story. Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There is a profit margin that also the tax have to be shared with the government. That's the other story. And the 50 rupees he is charging, he might have added few value added. Like we have seen that the oxygen level is high, some kind. I'm particular on the water I'm talking about.
Correct.
Then might
correct,
have oxygen
correct,
level
correct.
is high, some kind of value they have added. So that's why they have charged.
Professor, here I have a point. I don't think there is a quality increasement there, but I think that products have been specifically being produced for the different kind of segments or sectors, let's say for theaters, airports, common markets, and based on that, price is being printed on that.
Yes, very true, very true. Okay, answers to all of you is you need to understand price discrimination versus pricing of a product. Price discrimination is when the same product is available at two different prices in two different locations. Now, what you are talking about, Go Indigo selling a bottle of water or Taj bottled water, if that's a brand, are product differentiations. They are not selling the same product. Okay, the content may be the same, but they are saying that this is a different product. That product is different. So you need to understand and appreciate the difference between the two. So somebody is saying, if I cannot sell you Kinley water costing 10 rupees at 50 rupees in my hotel, I will sell you my own brand of water at 50 rupees. Who are you to question me? Because that is my MRP value. But the same bottle of water costing 10 rupees is being bought by the customer in the airport for 50 rupees. Why? Because he says, I am willing to pay that 50 rupees because of the pain that this addresses. That is what the difference is. Okay. Yeah, fine. So let's move on further. Let's move on further and look at a next product. That is called the product range. Now let's say you want to, it's lockdown and again work from home, 11:45. Okay, lockdown, work from home, and you want to buy yourself a cycle. Cycling is one of the best exercises that you can do, and you want to buy yourself a cycle. So, how much do you think a cycle would cost? What, in your opinion, Soumya, Ranjan, or anybody else, do you think would be a good price for a cycle? I'm actually thinking of buying one. So how much do you think I should be paying? A good, nice cycle.
17,000.
17,000.
Depends upon the requirement you have to choose.
Okay, so what do you think? Somebody else said, depending on the requirement, how much do you think is a good price for a cycle?
Less than 10,000.
Yeah, between 5 to 10.
15,000.
I'm 60 plus now, and yeah, I probably cycle a few kilometers at the most. So how much do you think I should?
Between 5 to 10.
10,000. Yeah.
Yeah, but then like I'm staying in a very posh locality. My locality, there are more BMWs than scooties.
You can jog actually, Professor.
You can buy a branded one, say from Decathlon.
For how much?
Decathlon, you can come up to 10 to 15,000, Professor.
10 to 15,000.
For a good comfortable bike will cost you around 20 to 30,000 rupees.
Without gear, it will cost you less than 10,000.
Okay, perfect. Great. Thank you guys for some brilliant advice. But now let's make sense. So as you can see, each of you have a mental block of how much a cycle should cost. How much a cycle should cost. So there's somebody who's saying, Ramesh, a cycle for the purposes of morning cycling and fitness should cost 14,000 or 15,000 or 17,000. Somebody is saying, no, go to Decathlon, you get something for 10,000 rupees. Now, let's say I open a store in my neighborhood and sell cycle for sale. There's only one brand, one product, one model, and that costs 3,000 rupees. That's it. That is that series 300 cycle, which cost 2,750. That's the only product that's available in my store. So what happens to somebody who told me that go buy that product for 14,000 rupees? Will he buy this cycle? No, he'll not buy this cycle. What about the guy who wanted me to buy it for 5,000 rupees? No, will he buy the cycle? He'll not buy the cycle. So I am left with a situation where I only have one product range and nobody is buying it. It's the same cycle. It's the same cycle. What happens is, because each customer has the willingness to pay, each customer has a mental threshold of how much he's willing to pay, I have to satisfy his needs. So what do? All these cycle companies, all these car companies, all these phone companies have a series of models available to you to meet each one of your pricing threshold. And now remember, threshold or is the band. You will not buy beyond this. You will not buy it if it is below this. So what do all these companies do? There'll be a small change between series 200 to series 300. There may be an extra sticker. Series 500 to series 700, there could be a slightly more cushioned seat. Very small, unperceivable differences. But the pricing is done such that each one of your threshold or the band of pricing is met up with. That is why when somebody walks into a showroom and has 5,000 rupees in his mind, they will look at the 270, the series 300 and say, oh, it's good, but I don't think it's worth 2,750. It's too cheap. Ultra 500 is great, but 8,500 is too cheap. I mean, too expensive. So let me buy Mega at 400. So a smart company knows that you will only buy Mega 400, but just to convince you that you made the right decision, they will have both series 300 and series 500 to convince you that you made the best decision. Right? Are you, Prashanta, raising a new hand or is it an old hand?
No, sir. No, Professor.
It's an old hand. So this is what is called product range. So are you guys clear on product range? But all of these will have some implications on your exam. So make sure you understand this. I don't mind explaining. And then we get to the last of those topics of discussion, which is this. Now, watch this carefully and give me an answer. What is the difference between this and this box of Medimix and this box?
This price
half-used toothpaste.
Half-used toothpaste.
Yeah, and it's a new toothpaste.
And the new toothpaste, okay.
Yeah. So this smaller one and bigger one range. There is a range.
There's a range, okay.
Yeah. And
so okay, let's go by, I don't know if it was Faisal who said that, who said small half-used toothpaste and completely brand new toothpaste.
It
This
was
is
Parthiban, Professor.
Parthiban. Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Good, good. And I think Faisal also wanted to say the same thing, you know, professors can read the minds of students. Okay. So, right, Faisal, you also had the same
Yeah.
thing. Right?
Yeah, Professor.
Yeah, we know each other. Yeah, correct. Yeah. So, okay. So, and here what is happening? You have just one box of Medimix here, or Medimix soap, and it just the most immediate picture that I picked up, and not that I have any love for that particular soap. Whereas here, if you buy 3, you get totally 4 boxes. Now my question is, let's concentrate on this half-used toothpaste and a brand new toothpaste. When you see a half-used toothpaste on your wash basin next day morning, what do? And when you see a brand new toothpaste on your wash basin, what do? Very simple, man. You just have to tell me what you do.
If it's half used, we try to replace it.
With half use, we try to?
We try to replace it with a new one.
Are you sure you're going to do that? Are you going to do something else before you do
We'll
that?
extract
We'll
it
try to
till it
see.
finishes.
We'll try to fuse the last drop.
No, even before that. Even before that, you do something else.
We bring a thought like we need to buy a new toothbrush, new
You'll
toothpaste.
bring a thought.
Professor, we use a smaller quantity of toothpaste when it is off used, and when it is a brand new, we use a larger quantity of toothpaste.
How many of you agree with Ramya?
Other
exactly,
perception is we know that it is going to cease, so we will buy a new one.
I will plan to buy a new one.
You plan to buy a new one, but generally, I guess most of us would agree with Ramya that we'll not layer the entire bristles. We'll only take a bit of it because there's only less available, and especially if there's a curfew and a lockdown, getting yourself another toothpaste is a problem. So you will just be more miserly when it comes to using the paste, right? Now, Ramya, back to you, because you gave first answer. I want you to get. There is just one Medimix box in the bathroom, whereas because you bought 3 + 1, there are 4 Medimix boxes in the bathroom. Now, how is the typical usage of the soap in your house in first instance and the second instance?
In a first incident, as same as the toothpaste, Professor. In the first incident, we use very carefully. We try to utilize the soap. When there are 4, we start. If there is a 2 bathrooms, we start keeping it, and we use more. So that's a logic.
Why do you use more? Why do you use more?
Because it is available, and moreover, the quantity is more, so we use it normally.
Yeah, you know that there is more available with you, so you will use it a little bit more. So this is psychological on the part of our usage, right? When there is little bit of paste, you will try to take lesser quantities. Similarly, the best known example is if there is a fresh box of tissues in your car, and the moment you walk in, you're going to pull out zoop, 3, 4 tissues and wipe yourself. Whereas if there are hardly any tissues in the box, you will selectively pull out one and use it. So this is psychological behavior of an individual or of man. Now, let's take the further example. Let's take a second example. Kellogg's comes in 2 boxes, 100 grams Kellogg's cornflakes and a 500 box Kellogg's cornflakes. Do you think, since Kellogg's is a smart company and they seem to know everything about a human behavior, how do you think Kellogg's is going to price the 2 products? I'll give you how much is the cost of the 100 grams Kellogg's cornflakes. The cost of the Kellogg's 100 grams is 100 rupees for 100 grams of Kellogg's cornflakes. How much do you think Kellogg's should price its 500 grams box?
400.
400 and not 500. What is the justification for that?
Maybe the customer thinks that, okay, he's getting another 100 grams more for 100 rupees less.
No,
Okay,
actually, I have another justification, Professor. Since the Kellogg's is packing for 100 grams in a 5 different packages, as a company, they are saving that 4 packages cost. So that's why
yeah,
they
want you to, yeah, it's a brilliant thought, but for the moment, ignore that. For a moment, ignore the cost of transportation of one box is easier than cost of 4 transportation. Get that thought out. Get that thought out. Just give the thought of a 100 gram box versus a 500 gram box. How much? So Faisal said 400 rupees. And why 400 rupees, Faisal?
Where the customer thinks that he gets 100 grams more with 100 rupees less.
Okay, Ramya or anybody else, I want you to answer it based on your learnings from this slide.
Professor John here. So for the product of 100 grams, how I would have a thought on my head is, if I am taking 100 grams product worth of 100 rupees, the same should be multiplied by 5 to become 500 grams. So it must cost me 500.
Yes.
So if the brand is going to offer me 50 rupees or 30 rupees lesser.
100 rupees. Ramya said 100 rupees. Or I don't know who said. Faisal said 100 rupees, 400 rupees.
So if they are going to give me 100 rupees lesser price, that means, as Faisal said, one thought that I would be having is I am paying lesser for more quantity. And the other thing that I would be looking out is for the pricing that is actually playing the thoughtful factor there. So I would be influential more on the pricing factor here rather than the quantity that is actually.
Fair enough.
Professor, I have one suggestion. Like Kellogg's can pack 500, charge 500 rupees for 500 grams. Plus, they can give an 50 gram or 100 gram quantity more.
No. You cannot change the question, Ramya. You cannot change the question. You have to answer the question, not change the question.
Professor, there are 2 aspects here.
Hang on. I'm bringing next complexity. 100 grams, 100 rupees. Faisal has just told me that it is 400 rupees for 500 grams. And by the way, I want to tell you that I consume 100 grams of cornflakes every month. Okay, 100 grams of cornflakes I consume every month. So when I buy a 500 grams cornflakes box, when do you think I will buy my next box?
After 5 months.
After 3 months.
After 4 months or 3 months.
Before 5 months.
After 5 months.
Before 5 months.
Okay, whoever said 3, justify. Whoever said 4, justify.
I said 3, Professor, thinking that they give an example on the screen that, okay, you have the last toothpaste you think and use. When you have it in bulk, you use it randomly. Now, like you're telling that 100 rupees, you're using just 100 grams per month. When you know that you're getting it in bulk and you have it in bulk in stock, so you might use another 110 every day. I mean, like in that way.
Right.
So you might approximately given a margin of, you can use it, you can again go by in 3 months.
So perfect. So there you go. Just like the reverse concept of you being a little bit stingy on the toothpaste, when you see more on your shelf, you will be using them more often. So what is Kellogg's trying to do? Kellogg's is trying to do one thing, is that they give you a mental perception that here I am buying a 500-gram Kellogg's box, and I will not be coming back for the next 5 months, because that is actually saving me money. 5 months, I'm making 400. But in reality, guys at Kellogg's also have undergone marketing management training at Dayanand Sagar. So what they do is they know that the moment you see that there is more Kellogg's cornflakes in the jar, you have a tendency to use it more. So it is more likely that not even 4 months, in 3.5 months, you would have finished that and come back again to buy another 500 grams, and believing that you've done the greatest pricing decision that you ever made. So that is why you will also notice that these washing machine powders or all of these, they sell you in larger quantities in a single package to make you feel that there is lots of it and make you consume them more. So this art of giving you more and adjusting it is called consumption adjusted margin. Okay, so you understand how it works. Is it, there is the same example. Don't go by this example. Go exactly by the example that we were discussing. A Kellogg's costing 100 grams at 100 rupees. Kellogg's selling 500 grams at 400 rupees. And one, they're actually making more money because you're finishing it off in 3.5 months. And then you're coming back to it to buy another one a little more quicker. So this act of playing around with the consumption pattern of the buyer is called consumption adjusted margin. So I hope you guys have got it. If you have any clarifications on it, I can help you, but don't go by this example. Go by the example that I told you. This is a little more complex.
It's clear, bro.
It's clear. Perfect. Now, this is okay. This is something for you to do that. Now, let's go to the last leg of our pricing discussion. What is the last leg of our pricing discussion? There are these type of pricing. What are these pricing? They're very unique pricing. What is, let's start from somewhere. What is dynamic pricing? Can any one of you give me an example of dynamic pricing?
Gold price.
Gold pricing is determined by the actual price of gold, but dynamic pricing is when the cost of the product is the same.
Petrol,
not really. We think airline tickets in dynamic pricing as you, pardon?
Based on season, they keep increasing the prices.
Absolutely. If you want to take the flight 2 hours from now, you have to pay more. But if you want to book the ticket 3 months earlier, you might get it at a lower price. So that is dynamic.
Happy hours in the bars or something.
Absolutely. Happy hours. You not only stay in happy hours, you stay till it is midnight. So you make sure that you not only pay for the drinks, but you also have to pay for Uber to take you back. Okay, that's jokes apart. Okay, second is, what is predatory pricing? Listen, there are 84 of you, and I'll be forced to pull you out and ask you to answer if I don't have variety of choices coming up from. Minu, Shruti, what do you think is predatory pricing? Or Papa Naha, what is predatory? Kavita, go ahead.
Like what Jio did by offering unlimited data
I'll give you what
at a very low price.
Yes, very good. But define predatory. I'll define the word predator. A predator is an animal which comes and attacks another one. So what is predatory? Kavita, go back to your same example and tell me what is predatory.
So setting a very low price, to increase the consumption.
No, perfect. Setting a low price to kill
the competition.
Killing the competition. That is predatory pricing. Okay, that is predatory pricing. Then we'll come back to this later. What is freemium? Anybody know what's a freemium?
Yeah, certain features are free, but if you want more, you have to pay additional fees.
Brilliant. Example.
Most of the OTT or any other platforms offer some free, but you need advanced features, you have to pay.
Yeah, and why do they do that?
Just to acquire more customers to start off with.
And what happens after they start?
They probably like the features and end up paying the subscription or the premium.
Absolutely, absolutely. The free is to get you into the system. And then when you start liking the system, you start paying more for that premium or yeah, brilliant example, Sanjay, very good. That's premium. What is bundled pricing?
So it's consumer pack pricing. Like
consumer
pack pricing, like if you have a 10 rupees or 2 rupees coffee bundle sachet, or like you were showing the example of Medimix where there is a bundle of 5.
Can you think of something else?
TV channel subscription. It can be a bundle.
Bundle as in Kannada word?
Yes. So you can take 2-3 languages.
No. Go ahead. Give me a proper definition of bundle. Shastri, you are almost there. Give me a.
Yeah. So if individually, if you are taking one product, it's going to cost X rupees. But if you are going to take 2 products at a time, so it may reduce a bit of price.
Okay.
So that, like a 1-year pack or 2-year pack or 6 months pack, like that you meant to say.
Okay.
Or we can take Airtel or any.
Is it like an Airtel family pack?
Or maybe the Mac.
Yeah, very nice. But give me almost there, Shastri and Wazim. But I want to slightly improvise that.
MacD burger.
Pardon?
MacD burger. You will get the French fries and cold drinks along with that.
Okay. So it's, you mean the McDonald's family pack, which will include burger plus cold drink plus French fries, and the price is so much.
Yes.
So what is bundled pricing? One more time, Swaroop, properly.
So there is a flat price given, and consumer is willing to pay on that, and he is getting the value added other products along with that.
And he does not know the individual split up pricing.
Correct.
Okay. So a bundle pricing is when you offer a series of products and the customer is unable to make a differentiation of those two pricing. For example, in a B2B environment, let's say, mute yourself. So let's say in a B2B environment, there is a tender for providing IT services. My company is looking out for a company which can provide IT services for my organization. So I float a tender, or I float a requirement or an RFP. So all of you will come back and say, sir, we will provide you IT services for 1 lakh per month. Somebody comes and says, I'll give you at 95,000 rupees per month. But somebody like Balachandra Shastri comes and says, sir, we are providing you our services for 1,15,000. That includes IT services, HR services, plus accounting services, because I'm sure you need all of them, sir. So now, how do I compare the price that Shastri has given, which is for 1,35,000, with the pricing of somebody who said it's 95,000 for only IT services? Of course, I need I need HR services. I also need accounting services. But if I take separate quotes from each of them, it will come to 1,80,000 or something like that. So now I realize that it's better to give the contract to this gentleman who is willing to give me the same services for 1,25,000 or whatever that is. So that is bundle pricing. But why does he give at 1,25,000? Because if he had to spend 3 people on IT, 2 people on HR, 2 people on accounting, that will be 3 plus 2 plus 2, that will be 7 people on a separated one. But I'm sure he's a smart guy and he knows that instead of 7 people, he can manage with 5 people to run all the packages. So what looks like a wonderful deal for the customer is also a wonderful deal for the provider because he is bundling it. The customer does not know how to differentiate it, and there could be a possibility that there is a greater profitability to the providing guy. So that is what is bundle pricing. Now let's go back to psychological pricing. What is psychological pricing?
So something like instead of it being 100 and they just put it to 99 so that it seems like it's lesser, it just attracts somebody.
Very true, very true. Anything else? Any other example of psychological pricing?
Midnight sale, such as like flash sale in Myntra or the e-cart.
Yeah, how is that psychological? Is because
so let's say there is an off day coming up, and it's midnight and the person is working. So he just casually like browsing, and he came to know there is some certain offer, and maybe tomorrow, let's say curfew is there. Let's say the current situation, right? So then he can opt for that, and he can see if
good. There's
like,
another. Yeah, go ahead.
Like we give sale ends in next 1 hour, so it will
only 2 left. Only 2 left. Only last two seats. And you go there to the movie theater, there were only 2 seats occupied.
And the
buy
best
2
example,
get 1, buy 2 get 1 free.
Okay, all that is psychological, maybe psychological, but there's another element to psychological pricing. The other element of psychological pricing is what I just showed you. Is like this. These is where they want you to buy, but these two, series 300 and series 500, are psychologically designed to convince you that the Mega 400 is the best one. One of the examples that happens is when you go to Starbucks and want to buy yourself a coffee. There are 3 options: small, medium, and large. If you look at the pricing of it, you believe that the price of a small is very large per liter. If you look at large, you will notice that too much of coffee for the price that I am paying. So, too much price for little coffee, too much coffee for the price I pay. In between large and small is medium, and hence you will end up buying medium. In reality, there is no small coffee, there is no large coffee, there's only medium coffee, but psychologically they are tempting you to justify your buying decision, and hence you end up buying the middle price, which is psychological pricing. Okay. Next is price skimming. What is price skimming?
Selling something at the higher price in the initial stage and reducing it. It can be maybe Netflix, something like that. That is
okay. Selling a product at a higher price and then
reducing the price.
Why would you reduce the price? You're perfect. Why would you reduce the price?
Right. That is to increase the volumes, maybe one of the
Exactly,
approach.
exactly. Where were we? What is the example of that? Example of that was this.
Increasing the sales.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Example of that is it. So you don't know how to price your product. You really don't know how to price your product. So you price it at 10, and then you price it at 2, and then you realize that 10 is not really profitable, 2 is more painful and more labor, and then you start coming down to a 5, which is a comfort zone. So similarly, price skimming is slowly bringing down the price till you achieve the desired volume that you have in mind. Next is economy pricing. What is economy pricing? Very simple, right? What is economy pricing?
Keeping a very minimal pricing, targeting the lower segment of customer.
Oh, you have economy and premium. So just give me the comparison in economy versus premium. Yeah, you're almost there. Go ahead, guys, give it a shot.
Like Parle-G biscuit.
It's a low margin.
Pricing to attract middle or lower
The
middle
economy segment, if you call around 10 gram to 200 grams or like that,
Sir,
250 grams.
Professor, this
what is
FMGC.
Pardon?
FMGC segment comes under economic pricing because the consuming is high. So the price should be the economy. I mean, based on the quantity they use. I mean, the pattern they use. So that comes under economic
economic
pricing.
pricing.
Sir, or we
The
can
daily
call
consumption.
targeting the customer of family base, like if it's bachelor 2 or family 4, like that.
Low cost but relatively higher market occupancy.
So there you go, definition of economy pricing. No frills. Economy pricing is when I take you on an Indigo flight from Bangalore to Delhi and tell you that you have only paid for the seat. You've not paid for the coffee. You're not paid for the window seat. You're not paid for the luggage. You've not paid for stretching your legs. You're not paid for relaxing your chair. You're not paid to open your eyes or things like that. Economy pricing is no frills attached pricing, but it provides you the basic services of taking you from place A to place B. But similarly, premium pricing, I'm sure there is a premium pricing, premium, no, there is, I think there's no premium definition, I think here. Yeah. So premium prices is pricing which is produced to give you a higher standard, a more value to the services. There's a brand attached to it and things like that. So you guys are almost right. It's just that economy is the same services, but there are no additional benefits attached. Premium is we give you lots of other benefits, and hence you're willing to pay a premium to it. Lastly, there's two things. One, we didn't do this, and then we'll do this, what is called penetration pricing. What is penetration pricing?
Just to enter the market.
Yeah, let's go with the lady first and then Sanjay. Yeah.
Setting a lower price at the initial stage so that people start coming and testing their products, and then later they will start increasing it.
Why will they start increasing it?
Because at the beginning they give a very low price only because they customers should come and start testing their products. So once they get a taste of it, so they will start preferring it. So
then what happens when they increase the price?
Once they increase the price, because their products are good, they will start preferring to buy their products at any cost.
Good, good, good,
Is
good.
it Reliance
I'm gonna come
Jio?
back to you, Kavita, with one more question, but let's have Sanjay first. Yeah,
It's the
Sanjay.
same, sir. Like once they achieve the monopoly in the market, they can control the pricing.
Okay, okay, they can control the price. Perfect. So example?
Professor, is it something like Reliance Jio? When someone is entering the red ocean, would they use this strategy? Is it the right thinking?
Red ocean would be more like predatory pricing. Come kill everybody. Now I'm the king of the jungle. Now I start demanding. Look at what's happening. Is that Bhaskar who said that?
Yes, yes, Professor.
Yeah, look at what's happening. Geo came and gave it cheap, 6 months below bandwidth, cheap, 6 months cheap, everything cheap. And poor guy, he killed Vodafone, he killed Idea, he killed BSNL, he killed Aircel, he killed everybody. He became the king of the jungle. Then he went to the regulator. He cried and said, I cannot survive with this pricing. How can I live? All my customers will have to shut down if I close my operations. Please allow me to increase the pricing. That is predatory pricing. Kill everybody and now. That's what he does all the time. That's what it is. But penetrative pricing, like Kavita said, is what is when you enter into a market. When you enter into a market, you really don't know how to give the service. People are not used to booking a taxi using an app.
Right.
Taxi drivers are not used to using an app to get their clients. So what do? If you talk to taxi drivers, there's so many of them who actually bought houses in the first stage. And they used to tell me, sir, if I drop a customer, I would get 200 rupees, even though the customer only paid 50 rupees. So what happens, like Kavita rightly said, you get used to it. You get used to it. And so you see, penetrative pricing is very, very, very dangerous. It is dangerous for the buyer and it's also dangerous for the seller. Because what happens if I don't like this? There's another problem. Penetrative pricing, while it sounds very interesting, is in reality very, very difficult. For example, the company that I am associated with, we are a very small player. After being an entrepreneur myself, that my best known clients with whom I have lived, dined, and drunk with, who know me so well, because I was working for a larger multinational company, they were willing to give a premium for the services. But when I go and tell them I want to sell my product, they're going to give me 101 excuses saying that, Ramesh, you know what? We don't know how your company will be. What happens if you don't pick up the phone? You guys are small, but I still like you guys. What do we do? Give me a lower pricing. Give me a lower pricing. So I want to penetrate an already occupied market. So I am willing to give a lower pricing. So what happens? That becomes the penetrative pricing. What cost me 100 rupees and I want to sell it at 110 because of the competitor all around, I am forced to give it at 101. Great. We come back and celebrate that I got the biggest client with me and we are penetrated into that market. Why did I give that price? Because I'm hoping that next year I'll go back and tell him, hey, man, it's time for me to increase the pricing. So 1 year later, I go back to him and tell him, hey, man, listen, I was giving you at 101. Let's make it 103 and be good friends. He says, by the way, Ramesh, if you were not coming, I would have given you a call to come and meet me. I want to have some good news to tell you. I said, what's the good news? We are very happy with your services. Brilliant, man. The way you guys support me are great. I also have some bad news. I said, what's that bad news? You know, the other guy whom you replaced, he's come back with some new pricing. He's come back with some new pricing and now he is competing. So I'm now sitting in a situation where I was hoping to get from 101 to 103, and I might be forced to give it at 99 because I want to hold on to it. So in reality, while penetrative pricing looks to be a very interesting thing, it could have a dominoes effect that you may never reach a stage where you may get a price that you want. So all of these are what it is. So this is what is penetrative pricing. Finally, one pricing that we haven't discussed, that's the last one that we'll discuss for today. That's 1225, is pay what you want pricing. Can anybody explain to me what is pay what you want pricing? It's a tough one, but I want all of you to just go at it. Even if you're wrong, I want you to try.
So it might be like from US, the India calling phone scheme, let's say Google call, or let's say LD, right?
Yes.
That can be like based on the subscription plan, you'll get how much minutes you want to talk and use it and pay for that.
Okay. Any other example?
It's a voluntary payment. Example is maybe news subscriptions, maybe some Wikipedia or something like that. We used to see we survive. I mean, sorry.
Okay. You almost get, yeah.
Some subscriptions where they say.
So help me. I'm in trouble. I'm giving you some great service. So whatever you give me, I'll be more than happy to take.
Exactly.
Yeah. You're saying?
Some online news subscriptions.
Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else?
So is it like more you consume or you pay? Depends on the quantity you consume or.
That's pay as you use.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I'll give you an example. This morning, we were having a small plumbing problem. Okay. There was the geyser in my house and the pipe was very leaky. And lockdown, shutdown, nobody coming. But I need to have a bath before I take the class, otherwise, you guys won't like it. So I had to rush and get myself a plumber. So this, luckily for me, just I was stepping out, I saw one plumber walking there. It's very easy to identify a plumber. He's having that ricket spanner and all that. I called him and said, hey, can you fix this up? So he came, and it was a small problem, and he fixed it up. And then I told him, how much should I pay you? So he said, pay what you want. Whatever you want, you pay. I'll be happy. Now, here's a small problem. This is the only definition of pricing where the decision on the cost of the product is defined by the user. In every other scenario or the pricing strategies that we have discussed, the seller is defining the pricing. Here, the provider of the service is telling the user, sir, you give whatever you want. Now, the entire decision cycle has moved to the user, very rare instance. And then what happens? It was just 5 minutes job. It was just a 5 minutes job. And because I was so desperate to have a bath, I just gave him 200 rupees. Now he's going to say, oh, thank you very much, sir. This is my phone number. You have any other problems? You give me a call. That's it. No discussion, no negotiation. He goes away. What do you think is going on in my mind?
So we may think whether I have paid more. We will not have an idea what will be the.
You don't have a reference point. You don't know whether you paid more. Maybe I paid him 50 bucks. Who knows? He might still walk away because he allowed you to make the thing. But 9 out of 10 instances, because the decision of the pricing is left to the consumer and the consumer knows the value of the service that was provided, he is then willing to pay in more cases a higher amount. And this is a dangerous game, of course. This is a dangerous game. For example, there is a restaurant in Singapore called, I forgot the name, Annapurna or something like that, where you get some real nice, brilliant Indian veg food. There's a huge list of menu, but there's no pricing. So you enjoy a meal. At the end of the day, you give whatever money that you want. So it has been noticed that when such a decision is given to the consumer who values the service, it is noticed that most of the time they end up paying more. So when Annapurna restaurant opened up a branch in Tamil Nadu or in Chennai precisely, that model did not work. It's because this uniqueness of the model was sometimes misused by certain in certain countries or in certain locations. So this is what is pay what you want. So we've just completed a big 3-hour conversation only on pricing. There's hardly going to be another discussion of pricing in most of your conversation in this what you call through your other terms and classes. So any question on pricing, this is a good time to talk about it. We have another minute or two. Yeah, I can't hear you.
Sorry, my mic was up. What about the auction, like the selling of some products in auction or something? It will be coming under this category, pay what you want?
Pay what? No. There are auctions here. There's a subject on auction, English auction, Dutch auction, sealed bid auction, B2B auction. Auction has also 2 types, but don't bother too much about these things. These are for you to read about them. Auction is when you make it public, what the pricing is, so that there is a certain amount of transparency. There are 2 ways. The highest bidder wins. There could also be the lowest bidder wins. When would that happen, when the lowest bidder wins? In which instance would a contract?
In a government tender.
Government tender, lowest bidder wins means?
We will be quoting less for the work.
Okay, so
competition is more.
No, not allowed. Not allowed. Talk in marketing language. Both of you who try to attempt this question. When is the highest bidder win and when is the lowest bidder win? Please define it using your marketing sense.
In B2B market, the lowest bidder wins.
B2B market, lowest bidder wins.
In a B2B market, when it's an involvement of services to be provided to a user, then the lowest bidder wins. In a B2B market, when it is the procurement of a certain product, the highest bidder wins, correct? If somebody wants to procure 100 tons of steel, who would Tata Steel give the bid to? The highest bidder. If TCS wants IT services from a certain company, who would they give it to? To the lowest bidder. Okay, right. So that's all we have on the thing. What we'll do in the next class, which is whenever that comes up, would be, I think it's immediately next Sunday or so, would be our final class. We'll talk about branding. We'll talk about Porter's 5 forces, and that's probably what it is, right?
On 22nd.
Sure. I thought it was.
Yeah, coming week we have only on Sunday. Saturday there is no class. And next week we have our class.
Oh, is it?
Because of Shankranti, I think.
No. Let me see that. Hang on for a minute. I have a calendar, which is the most important thing for me. Hang on, I'm quite sure. Yeah, 16th Jan, 9:30 to 12:30. Sunday. Are you there?
Yes, Professor. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are there. But we got a message some days before from Rajan, sir, that because of Sankranti, we'll be
Yeah,
not
Wasim,
having.
that is on 15th. That is
Yeah,
Saturday. So sir is
Saturday.
talking about
Maybe
16th.
OT and HRM could have
OT and
been
HRM
given
not
to
there.
others.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
That's fine,
okay, okay.
Professor.
Nothing for MM, man. MM gets priority. No Sankranti, no
Yeah,
Pongal. Come,
Ramesh sir is
We
taking
have
it.
opted you,
He'll be-
sir.
Huh?
We are with you, Professor.
We
Yeah.
have
You're with
opted for
me,
an extra
right?
class. That's why.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. You are with me because assignment 2 has not yet been marked.
Not it.
Okay, good, good. Yeah. What was CRED? Pavan Reddy, what was your example of CRED? I'm seeing your answer now.
He mentioned it for one of the pricing model. I
Yeah. So
think.
if he's
Yeah.
still there, I wanted him to, because I'm,
Right.
yeah. Okay, good. So, right. See you guys. All the best for the next class. And bye for now.
Professor, I have a question. We have some applications that are fundraisers, right? For example, Impact Guru. So whenever we donate, there is also an option that there is some percentage that we would need to fill. So I just wanted to understand if that comes into any of the categories.
No. I didn't hear you properly. Repeat it.
Okay, we have some fundraiser applications like Impact Guru, is it? And whenever we donate some amount, there is an additional field that asks for us to fill. That will be some percentage of what we have donated already. So that's a mandatory field. So just wanted to understand if that fits in any of the pricing strategies.
I wouldn't know actually. I still don't understand. So you're saying that you do some donation of 100 rupees, and or are you saying the tips? Is that it's that?
Correct. Yeah, tip. Yeah, it will be some percentage like 5, 10 that we need.
Yeah, that's appreciation of. I don't think there's a pricing definition that exists. That's again goes out into the product. I don't think there's service fee is just another pricing. As a matter of fact, because of people like you and me, I mean, I don't know about you, but people like me who are very stingy when it comes to tipping the waiters and all that. Nowadays, they build it into the services itself. They tell you as you walk into the hotel, they say, sir, we have 12% service charges. Do you want to pay or you don't want to eat? As simple as that. So in that sense, they've already bundled that pricing into the product. Is that a fair answer?
Yeah.
Okay, so because some people like me would not be very generous when it comes to it, they say by default 12% or 14% and all that. And so there you go, the way it works. How many of you have actually, I mean, not me, of course, but I don't know how many of us have actually tipped the Dunzo guy or on our app, or how many of us have actually tipped the Uber guy on our app? Very few of us, right?
We have given
99%.
Yeah, done.
Yeah, 99, but they're always the one. We have how many students? About 120. So there will be some. Okay, good. So thanks. Good. Enjoy the other class that you have now.
Professor, I have a question. Professor, I had a concern about assignment too. So basically, you told some people to do a part A and part B. So we just wanted to know, like, we have to do the video and slides.
No video, nothing. Your video is over. I've seen all your beautiful faces. And now just give me your PPTs.
Okay, thank you, Professor.
Okay, only simple. No, you can't. I mean, that'll be unfair on troubling you both. I just want to have one video session. That's all. Okay.
Professor, there is one confusion here. Let's say our group is taking this key site technology, that topic. So now you mentioned that let's say a couple of persons to do let's say part A or part B individually. Now how it will be differentiated or let's say divided between the group and individual tasks there?
No. Let's say in your case, I'm assuming that I've asked you to do something separately. You will continue to do key site only, but you will do key site on your own without joining hands with the group.
That is part B you have asked.
Whichever, part B or part A. If I've asked you to do part B, I want you to do the BCG matrix, the 9-cell matrix, the same thing, but on your own.
Okay, and that is that should be in for any product, or let's say for the key site technology only.
No. Part B has nothing to do with key site. Or part B is, I'll tell you what is part B. Part B, for all of you, let's spend exactly, it's 12:43, but I'll give you 5 minutes of gyan on what is part B. Part B is visualizing the future. I have given you a trend. I've given you a trend of how technologies have evolved. If you look at that Fortune 500 companies, you will notice that over the last 50 years, consistently petroleum companies have always been the leaders. All the time, petroleum companies have always been the top fortune, Exxon or Shell or Aramco, whatever they have been. But can you guarantee me, Soumya Ranjan, that for the next 20 years, petroleum companies will continue to be the top richest companies? No guarantees. They might run out of fuel, or we may not even require non-renewable energies. That's point number one. Point number two is, if you start noticing that pharmaceutical companies have been going up and down, but do you think for the next 10 years, pharmaceutical companies would play an important role in human civilization? You might come back and say, yes, sir, pharmaceutical will come back and play an important role. Fair enough. But why do you think they will start playing an important role? Sir, because this virus could be just the beginning of another 101 that will come. Point number two is mankind will be willing to spend more time and energy and money on health. As man explores and goes to Mars, maybe we might need newer health and techniques and equipment and services to make us livable in another world. So I want you to create a matrix of what companies will become dogs, what companies will become stars, what companies will become cash cows, and what companies will be questionable. I'll tell you what could be questionable. I might say interplanet exploration would be a debatable product line for every company to approach. Every airline company may have an interplanetary solution or something like that. Or internet services will become obsolete because there could be a new technology. It is imagination, but not wild imagination. It is imagination justified. I'm not going to comment on that slide, but 10 years from now, when you look at it and say, hey, what a crazy thinking I did. I didn't even have a vision for myself 5 years from now. So, or you come back and say, I was so right. So that is what I'm looking at. I hope it makes sense.
So basically what we understand that Fortune 10 or 20 matrix we have to prepare, and those we have to segmented in the BCG matrix.
Absolutely. BCG, or if you don't like the word BCG, you might want to do it in the GE 9-cell matrix.
Okay. So part A is a group thing. Part B is an individual.
Part A is a group thing. Part A for some of you is group, or part A. What is part A? Part A is a scenario, what is happening in the real world. So how do you secure the business? How do you mind map these people? Who do you think is on your side and who is playing against you? Who is the gatekeeper? Now, whom will you convert? Who do you think you should be worried about? This is real scenario. Every time when you walk into a business deal, there are 5-6 people sitting across the table. Even when you have an interview, there are 5-6 people. Out of 5-6 people, one guy doesn't like you. One guy indicates to you that, yeah, I think I like you. So who do you focus your answers on? Who you think is important? So that's what it is. Okay.
When uploading an LMS, part A will be common for everyone. Part B will be individual.
Every single soul has to upload on LMS.
Yeah, part A will be common for all the people who are in the group. Part B will be different.
Some people, part A itself is different. For some people, I have told them that you do part A on your own.
Okay.
Professor, just one final clarification. So
Yes.
let's say part B, you have told one person from any group to do on his own. Then how about the others? They won't touch the part B at all. They'll just do the part
They
A.
will all do part B by themselves, but as a group.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. Okay.
Okay, one last time. A select number of individuals have been identified and pulled out of the group to either do part A or part B on their own. Why? Because I want to see how well can they do on their own. Point number 2, how well can the group do on their own without this individual? Is this individual a pain to the group, or is this individual a major influencer to the group? Does the group perform better without this individual? Or does this individual really have so much of talent that his presentation or her presentation stands out very uniquely? Because I'll tell you, some of you have done so well, but your group has let you down. Some of you have done so ordinarily, but because you're in the right group, you got more marks. So now is the time for us to separate the chaff from the rice. Okay.
So Professor, in general, group A, I mean the part A and part B is a group activity, correct, sir?
Absolutely. Part A and part B, group activity. There's no doubt.
Okay, thank you.
The members of the group, 1 or 2 may be missing. That's all.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Don't take life so seriously. I mean, all of you, I can see your faces, though you're not switched on your video. Don't be so tense. Okay.
Sir, can we have extension till 20 seconds, sir?
Okay, we'll see that. We'll see that.
Okay.
Okay.
Because anyway, Shankranti is coming.